I spent more than $3,000 on the ring, and less than 1 month after getting engaged, I caught her doing the wild monkey dance on the living room sofa. Welcome back to They Did What? Your source for the internet's craziest, most entertaining stories, where I go over them, analyze them, and most certainly make fun of them. Today, I'm going to go over an email that was sent from a subscriber. He's going to share his story about events that happened like 25 years ago, around the late 90s, when he was serving in the Navy. At the time, the guy was in his early 20s, and he met this young woman who was 18 years old, 18, a kid, when he was on leave at a club. Started dating, and eventually, after like 6 months, if that, they were engaged to be married. Yeah, smack. Too soon. Anyhow, you're going to see that he thought she was the most amazing thing ever, that she was a virgin, all that. But turns out she wasn't so sweet and innocent, and one day he walked in on her getting rather frisky with a friend. And you're going to see, guys, how this thing goes, what happens with regards to her ring, things she tries to do to drag his name through the mud, but ultimately this guy comes out on top. However, you're going to see karma, like it does a lot of times, does come back to bite her in the butt, and this guy gets some serious payback. And there's definitely a lot of lessons in this story, which I'll get to later on, but it's definitely entertaining when you hear when someone is being mistreat someone and they get theirs in the end. So it starts off, he says, I served in the U.S. Navy from the mid-90s to the late 90s, and I was in my early 20s when this story took place. So this is all before internet was really a thing. My dad was and continues to be the most influential person in my life, and what I've learned from him has served me well. The ship I was on was in dry dock in Seattle, and I went to a club, met an 18-year-old woman, and we started dating exclusively almost immediately. He says, I can already feel the slap in the back of my head. Yeah, rushing into dating exclusively some chick you just met. She's 18, just graduated high school, for goodness sake, okay? Barely an adult. That's not someone you get serious with, let alone what happens next. He says, we dated less than 6 months before getting engaged. Smack. Less than 6 months. Where's your influential dad you mentioned at the beginning of the story saying, don't do this, son, you're rushing in. But that's what a lot of people do. They see that bullshit in movies and think everything will be magical and wonderful. Well, watch what happens. But B, as I'll call her, was a virgin. And yes, she was an actual virgin until we got engaged, that is. My ship was home ported in Bremerton, and she lived an hour or so north of Seattle, and I had no car at the time, and going to see her was a 3-hour trip each way. I spent more than $3,000 on the ring, and less than 1 month after getting engaged, I caught her doing the wild monkey dance on the living room sofa. Her and her roommate, a female, had been friends since kindergarten and were sharing rent of a house and splitting utilities. Let's call my fiancée B and her friend F, and her best friend's boyfriend J. Just so you know, B, F, and J all worked at the same fast food restaurant. I had told B I had duty and would not be able to visit her the following week. This was true. But I was able to swap duty with someone so I could surprise my fiancée by visiting. How many stories come about when guys got off work early, or the work trip ended sooner, and they come home to surprise their wife or girlfriend or fiancé, and they walk in on them doing Lord knows what with Lord knows who on their bed or sofa or something like that. This is what we got here. When I got to her work, I was told she was not feeling well and had called off work sick. F was just getting off work, so I caught a ride with her to the house. F is this girl's roommate and supposed friend. We walked into the house, and B was riding J on the sofa. I walked over to them and grabbed B by the wrist to take the ring. She made a fist to keep me from taking it. I gave her 2 choices. Let me take the ring, or I would take the finger it was on. That's playing some hardball, bro. I grabbed the handful of items I had left there and left, and F left with me. So not only are you being cheated on by your fiancé, this wonderful girl with the level of maturity of an 18-year-old, but also her friend's boyfriend. She's effing her BFF's boyfriend. Great people. You know what? I'm sure this ripped your heart out at the time, but it's the best thing that could ever happen to you, because you could have married this broad. How many stories have I done about guys in the military that get engaged at a very early age, think everything's going to be great, and it's going to be like one of these movies, and the second they ship out, the girls are like, bye, and they're off to the singles bar, taking off the ring, and they're hooking up with every Chad and Tyrone in the area. It's sad, but it happens. We went to their boss's house. F was crying, so I drove F's car. Their boss, a woman, was floored and furious as B had called out off work sick. I left F at her boss's house and used her car to go shop where I had bought the ring. The ring was a custom special order, so I thought it was SOL. But long story short, I got 100% refund on it. Wow, that's rare. I went back to the boss's house, and she was kind enough to let me stay on the sofa that night. The next day, and he says, I can already feel the slap on the back of my head coming. The next day, F, the friend, had no money, bills and rent had just been paid, and had no family in the area, so I bought a plane ticket to the state her mom was living in and paid to have her belongings shipped there, and gave her $600 so she would have something when she got to her mom's house. Dude, I get that you're a good guy, but that's being a bit of a white knight. Are you telling me her mom couldn't get her money? Seriously, bro. It's very nice you're trying to help out this nice girl, and I'm just being generous and being devil's advocate saying she's nice, but you're a young guy. That money's important to you. But you're going to see something, guys. Actually, him doing this generosity, actually comes back to help him. I received a summons a couple weeks later. B was suing me for the ring. That ring, as a lot of gals think, is a gift. That ring is conditionary that you're going to stay faithful to me and be good, loyal, loving wife or girl, fiancé, then we get married, not a gift. And if the wedding doesn't go through, then that ring goes back to the guy. End of story, in my opinion. I've always noticed that guys think this way, but a lot of women think, oh no, it's a gift. Bullshit. I showed up for court in my military dress uniform. Thanks to the show The People's Court, Judge Wapner and Judge Judy, I had an idea what to expect and how to act. If anyone was talking, I was silent. If I got interrupted, I shut my mouth and never raised my voice. B first claimed that the ring was a gift, but when I said that the ring was an engagement ring, she claimed I called it off. The judge, a woman, asked me if I called the engagement off, and I stated that I had walked in on her having you-know-what on the sofa with her lifelong best friend's boyfriend. By that time, B had angered the judge, so after my statement, the judge made it clear that B could only give one-word answers, yes or no, and asked her if what I said was true. B reluctantly answered yes. Newsflash, guys, you ever go to court for whatever reason, small claims court or whatever court, it is yes or no with the judge, and you treat them with absolute respect. You don't yell, you don't scream, you don't interrupt them. Otherwise, your ass is grass. Okay? Yes, I've seen those shoes too, and I know lots of lawyers, and they'll all tell you the same thing. Because the judges are pretty much gods up on their freaking bench, and you don't want to piss them off. And this guy was smart enough to know this. I had won the case, but the judge asked what I did with the ring. I then presented receipts, including an IOU from F, and told the judge what I had done with the money, so she knew what the receipts were for. During the case, the judge asked B why she wanted the ring, and her answer was that so that J could use it to get engaged to her. So the bad boy who was cheating on the ex-girlfriend and hooking up with her, she wants that ring back so she can give it to him to give to her to be engaged to her. Classy girl. Now, the icing on the cake, what happens next? All predictable. A few weeks after this incident, B called me and told me that J had gotten drunk and harmed her, putting her in the hospital and that she's broken up with him. She was crying and begging me to take her back and telling me she knows she screwed up. I hung up on her and got my number changed. The end. Quick story there, but right to no surprise. Nobody should be beaten up or hurt or harmed. I absolutely agree there. But you know what? She was with that lowlife who was a cheater, who would do such a thing. And she got, in my opinion, that was the universe's way of giving some karma back. Now, would she stay with that guy afterwards? Who knows? Sadly, a lot of times these gals end up staying with those guys. They keep doing the same thing. And no guy should be doing those things to any woman. But the point is, this guy, in my opinion, dodged a bullet. Yeah, it hurt him in the short term, but he got away. And hilarious that this chick actually sued him for the ring. It's not a gift. It is a freaking promissory thing that you're going to be engaged to me, blah, blah, blah. Not a freaking gift. But she had the nerve and the gall, but the guy was smart enough in the court to shut his mouth, be respectful, and he won. And I think the fact that he showed receipts and proof that money wasn't like used to go to the casino or buy a freaking stereo, he used to help that girl, even helped his case. But anyhow, guys, it's always good to hear when somebody that was a total jerk and awful to somebody, eventually karma will come back to bite him in the butt. you know. And it's funny, she's now begging him for a second chance, and it was a mistake, and take me back. Pff, fat chance, and good for him. So good story there. He actually has sent it to me probably on the basis of doing my other channel, but that'd be a good one for this one too. All right, guys, as ever today, it's a quick one, but a good one. Be sure to comment down below. Let me just think about this. Guys, you have a great story you'd like to share, something crazy, something entertaining, interesting that you'd like me to cover in this channel, email me, strongsuccessfulmale@gmail.com. That's the name of my other channel. That's the email I use for both accounts. Or if you come across a crazy story on Reddit or some of those online forums, email it to me. I may use it, I might not, but probably I will if it's a good one. And just send it there and I'll get to it when I can. And be sure to like the video, share with your friends, and subscribe. And I'll catch you next time.